one of the things that our state league has been suggesting is, and I know other leagues already do this, is that that um, board members not use their personal email, and that an email be set up like through your website, maybe through a special Gmail. But how can we set up something through our, Deborah Gorman at League of Women Voters Perrysburg, with that great big long, which wouldn't really work very well. But can you do that with our website? Or
Not
have
with,
you?
yeah, not with MyLO as far as an email goes. What we usually suggest if folks don't have, if they, still just want to use their personal email but keep it hidden, that's where web forms can come in. But if it's a matter of like the um, like logistical side of not wanting to mix those kinds of emails in their personal inbox, then that would probably make sense to look into. There's always, the free option, like you said, a Gmail. You can also consider, it depends on your domain provider, but they may have options for email service as well. Like for example, if you had GoDaddy, then they typically have an easy to add on service for email. Um, but yeah, I think another way I'm not too familiar on this. It's been a while since I've looked at this, but I've seen leagues before use a Google group and set it up as a collaborative inbox. Um, and so I think it's essentially all the leaders that you want to be receiving emails. And since it would be a collaborative inbox, you could then, categorize things specifically for whoever, whichever of those leaders. But if you were interested in that, I could dig up where I have that information on using a Google group, because those would all be free options with the exception of if your domain provider offers that service.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Paula.
Right. Thank you for taking this question, which I'm sure is very simple and elementary, but that's about my level for Milo. Why do I sometimes see angled brackets around the initials BR after I upload and post by link, for instance, a newsletter?
That specific, it's called an HTML tag, BR within the brackets like that, that represents a line break. So usually it is probably invisible when you're first, like after you've uploaded whatever it is, and then the link comes in. The line break is probably invisible at the start,
Yes.
because essentially it's just a line break, hitting the return key or the enter key. But once it appears after saving, you should be able to go in and make sure you delete it completely. You can do it, character by character or highlight the whole thing, but make sure that you delete it. Um, so let's pretend that I have this link here. That's kind of typically what it'll look like.
Yep.
Obviously, we'll pretend that that's hyperlinked. Maybe sometimes the line break shows on on the next line, but regardless of where it's at, make sure that you delete every single one of those characters plus any space that precedes it. So that space, um, it sometimes can hold on to that line break. So say if we only deleted the characters of the line break and left that space, the invisible HTML could still be there. So removing every bit of it includes the, space preceding it, or if it has, um, the line break on the next line, just delete until you get back up to the previous line.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yeah. It is not really a simple question once you get down to it because it doesn't happen every single time, but it's one of those, quirks that comes up and yeah, as long as you get rid of it, um, plus whatever is right before it, that should, break that.
Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions? Okay. I'm going to pull up the Google group to see. I know I just answered one question about the moderate tab. Why don't we go over that real quick? And for anybody who has a question that comes up, you feel free to jump in, and we can talk about that. So the moderate tab was, well, the original question, I believe, was that the webmaster was wanting to find out like the last timestamp of when something was edited and by who. So that is always going to be tracked in the moderate tab. The only times you might not see it tracked here is when it is a change from a draft to a draft. Every single one of those changes is not always tracked here. But definitely when you're going from draft to published or published to draft, um, we have the revisions, every single one listed. The moderation notes would be listed here if we leave something more than what is just the minimum. Um, the revision actions are what the webmaster Ed was originally looking to see. So if you were wanting to revert to a previous revision, you always have that option. I always recommend folks to view them first. Um, you can I like to open it in a new tab, but if you open it in the same tab, the good thing is that the revision number will be included. So it's like, if you have it not open in a new tab, you can always at least, copy this or take a look at that to know which revision you did want to revert back to. And then once you choose to revert to a previous revision, I believe it asks you for some moderation notes or a log message. And then once you enter a log message and click revert, it will immediately bring those or whatever that version of the page was to be the current published version. And sorry, I have a pop-up on this site we were working on last month. And then you can compare revisions. The only downside to this is that it is an HTML, so it won't be a visual WYSIWYG representation of what your pages look like. It will just be in the breakdown of HTML comparing the two versions. Any questions about the moderate tab?
So, all right. So I'm on my site right now, and I'm looking at a page, and I'm on the moderate screen.
Mhm.
But maybe I have to view. But when I hit that view button, I don't. It doesn't ask me if I want to look at it in a different.
Oh, you'll have to right click if you do want to open it in a new tab.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me try that. All right. So right. Oh, got it. Got it. Okay, I see. Open link.
And I'll go ahead and revert one just so we can see. Oh, well, actually here, this is one I previously reverted. So back in September of last year, or the 24th of September, it looks like a copy or a revision from the 18th of that month. I reverted back to that revision. So this is what it looks like. I think, yeah, I just put in the log message the word revert. So that was as simple as my log message was. Um, but it tells me the page title. This is my home page. So, um, and then this will always be included because it's just uh, putting exactly the revision time and date that you have copied from. Um, yeah, so it has a complete timestamp of who and from where and when the revisions are being made, even if it's a uh, being reverted to something previous. Okay.
Could I ask
Yeah.
what is the real difference between just doing a new draft and moderating?
Yeah. So the the difference is reusing content, I guess. If there's a previous revision that is majority what you are going to be making changes to the current revision, then I would recommend reverting, and then you can always, make changes from that um, reverted revision. But yeah, it really does depend on the changes you're looking to make. If you are looking to kind of start fresh, or your changes are majority new, then yes, starting with a new draft makes the most sense. Um, but like, so one example that I can think of for our California League, we have our members only on MyLO. And so the revert function that I often see us use happens with like our program planning page. So like we'll set everything up for the year. Usually it'll have very specific information as time goes on and we're getting closer to the due date. But then once that program planning cycle restarts, we can always revert back to whenever, the start date of our last cycle was, and kind of just go from there and then build it again for the next year. So not always helpful for every single type of page or content that you have, but yeah, if you're reusing pages, um, reverting will be pretty helpful.
But regardless, starting a new draft is never wrong because you would
Correct.
just, okay,
Right. But regardless of if you revert or do a new draft, it is always being tracked here in the moderate tab.
okay, thanks.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to ask all these basic questions
No, not
so we
basic at
can,
all.
so everyone can get a refresher.
Yes. No, I think that's helpful, especially for myself. I feel like I myself can get in the weeds a lot of times and feel like um maybe sometimes a more basic explanation is more helpful. So if you feel that, I don't feel that that's, a bad thing at all. You will always, come back to MyLO. Sometimes folks are not using it very often. And so you have to kind of refresh yourself each time that you're needing to make some changes. So that is helpful for everybody, I believe. Any questions or anything that may have came up with the moderate tab? I'm going to keep poking around the Google group. Okay. There haven't been too many questions um, over break. I'm trying to see if I can find any that may pop up. Okay, I'll take a second in case folks, I think most of us probably are aware of the resources, but just in case, Um, the documentation and our videos are available from the homepage. Are they available from the footer? No, but you can get to our MyLO homepage from the footer. But we have a lot of different written stuff, a lot of different videos that you can search through. And then also the FAQ. Well, again, we have a lot of written stuff, but one of the I find pretty helpful is the FAQ stuff because this is where we try and put those odd things like I probably should put that line break question that we talked about, Paula, because kind of these quirky little things that either they may not fit somewhere else or they're just so small that they might get lost elsewhere. We try and put them here in the FAQs. Um, so always, take a look at these if you're having trouble and it's something that maybe you haven't heard of before. It may already be in here. One of the things that we saw or that I saw this week was this issue where the person editing was getting a 403 error. And this will happen with some folks if they are using parentheses in their text. And so um, it's a very simple fix. Either it's a swap to use brackets, or in HTML, you can replace the typed out parentheses with its Unicode version. Deborah.
So, something that National League sent out and was talked about, go through and for the new year,
Oh,
check your
yes.
website and all that.
Hmm.
And one of the things that they talked about was the copyright date, where they said that you should update your copyright date. And so I went back
Yes.
and looked, and ours just has, it doesn't have a date. It just says copyright League of Women Voters of Perrysburg area. Can, um, is that okay to leave like that? And is that something I didn't even go in to try to change it?
Yeah, that is something that is set globally, so
Okay.
you wouldn't have access to change it. I will see what options we have there. I don't think it should be that complicated for us to get in there. Um, but yeah, I will see what options we have.
Okay. Well, I just didn't know if it was something that that I should have been doing. But if that's something that's global, I won't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for reminding me about that email. That is a good email if folks didn't receive it, just to have, tips coming from National is super helpful. Okay.
Well, if you don't have any other questions, we can maybe leave early.
Hey, I'm not opposed. But
Let's,
I also don't want to leave anybody, with the desire to ask a question. Maybe you felt like it was a question you've been holding on to, or it was just too niche. Now's the time.
so I have a question.
Yeah, go for it,
I mean,
Helen.
I don't know what you're seeing in me, but, but,
See your beautiful face.
um, I didn't get that email. How do I get that email?
Oh yeah. Let me see. I think it's just by subscribing at let's see, at the league management site for National. I actually didn't get it myself either. Our executive director sent it to me, which I was, you know, excited to have. Yeah, it was the league update. So I think if you come over to the league management site, I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. Okay, go there and then league update newsletter.
Okay.
And make sure you sign it or subscribe. I'll go ahead and subscribe myself since I wasn't receiving it myself.
Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Gotta stay in the loop.
Question.
Yeah, go for it, Mike.
Uh, I just received from our president uh, an audit, uh,
Mm,
annual compliance review. And one of the things they talk about is our fundraising disclaimers, something called the Uniform Disclosure Statement.
hmm,
Now, we have one if you go to my site when we on our donation page um, that I put down. If you give it to donate to us, the league, it is taxable, and if you make the donation to the education league, it's tax free or whatever. I don't
okay.
remember the wording right now. You can tell I don't do this much.
But yeah, I get the general idea of yeah, the disclaimers for
The
donations.
organization is not taxable, yeah. And it's just simple. I looked at the League of Women Voters for Michigan, and they're a little bit more verbose, but essentially that's what they say also. Do
Okay.
we have anything else that we need to put down that you know of for, because this is obviously all of our chapters will have to do this.
Um, Not that I know of. Let's see. I don't know if National has anything that they, specifically say other than what you already have. Because I think what you have, that makes sense. That's the bare minimum, I believe.
Uh,
Um, let's see what
Now they should have
National's
one on the
donation.
join also, but I don't do the join anymore than the national does, so I don't have to worry
Right,
about
right.
that audit.
So it seems like the only note. Oh, okay. They do have an additional note. So, sorry, I'm going to scroll back up and we'll come back down to that. But this first note is like what you already have.
Yes,
And then this second note, it looks like it's more of like the privacy policy note. So
yeah,
if you wanted, um, we do have a privacy policy on MyLO, but it's more MyLO related rather than like th this describes what, the folks would find on MyLO. And it does kind of cover the services that you would be providing and doesn't get too specific. Um, so if this works, you can link to our privacy policy about saying,
okay,
what you do with their information, and then if there's any policy about, how you communicate with them after that, after the fact.
okay. Yeah, I like this one. Like I said, I
And it,
grew up in IT with this one that we used to do it even before it was a law. So,
awesome. Yeah, and so yeah, you can find the link to it in the footer from any of the MyLO
yeah,
sites.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And then that the those two paragraphs that
Hmm.
you were talking about, this is on the donate page on the
On National site.
donate dot.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll drop it in the chat for you.
Okay.
So
And I
yeah,
don't think that's the only question I have on the audit for now. I think that we have to worry about is just one is to tell people how we collect their money and how we use it, and if it's tax deductible or not. And the other is how they use their information, which is the privacy statement. So we're good.
right, right. Awesome. Yeah,
And
now now I'm like, okay, let me write that down for myself for our league. Got to do the
If you want, I can
housekeeping.
send you the audit email. I don't think that's confidential.
That would be nice. I'd appreciate that, Mike.
so I had to
Thanks.
take a phone call and missed all that. I'm going to listen to the recording.
Oh
But
yeah.
we had a question about putting the EIN number on our website.
Mm-hmm.
Did you answer that just now while I was gone?
No, we
Oh,
haven't. We didn't talk about that, but that's a good one too. I don't know of any, specific recommendation on it. I think it's helpful when it comes to 501(c)(3)s. If your league has its education fund, then I think, at least in my experience, being the phone operator here at the California League, that's probably one of the questions we get most when it's related to our education fund. So we just went ahead and put it up on our website. Um, you could even just have it on your, you know, for us, we have it on a page that shows on every page of the website. So that would be like equivalent to the MyLO sidebar, but you could just have it on your donate page, um, or whatever relevant page. I think it would be helpful, but it's not a requirement. And I think it probably also depends on how often is that information being asked of you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and
So
if anybody has any other, jump in.
yeah, I was just going to say, just FYI, we do have both. So we have both a C3 and then we use the nationals. I'm sorry, we have a C4 and then we use the national C3. And we do put both, we have both of those EINs on our donate page.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Great. Any other questions or tips or recommendations? Thanks, Mike. The only other question that I got recently was about adding webmasters, but I have a feeling, does anybody have any hesitation about that process or any questions about that if you were ever needing to add a new webmaster?
Oh, to Milo? Yeah,
Hmm.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, let's go over that.
I know I campaigned for the League of Women Voters on the portal to put it on the roster, but I'm not quite sure if that made it yet.
Okay, actually, I'm gonna go to a different site.
As you know, the webmasters are usually involved in anything, everything,
Right.
from donations to joining to registration. So
Right.
I was campaigning hard that they would always include the webmaster as a copy to anything that they sent to the league chapter so that they would always know because we're not always in sync with all the other officers all the time.
Right. Now that I would imagine that they're probably, even though it feels like it's a while out from our membership transformation, I could imagine that they're probably still a little swamped, maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Well,
But
I
yes,
remember
that
writing
that
those
sounds
codes in
nice.
the old days when you'd have the officers and you just copy the email from the one and look at the table for the other officers you wanted and just put it in CC and away you went. Just
Yeah,
when I used to
no.
code it, it wasn't that big a deal. So I'm not quite sure what language they're doing it now in. So
Right. All right. So, um, if you are trying to add a new webmaster, there's a couple of ways to it. So, um, any general public member can create their own MyLO account. Um, there's different levels of access when it comes to MyLO. The lowest and, you know, basically just viewing access, no further access is the general public member. So they're like at the bottom of this totem pole. And then comes the MyLO member or MyLO user, better said. They are not yet a member. And when I say member in this context, let me actually bring up a documentation. So when I talk about members in the MyLO world, I'm talking just specifically about like membership to a MyLO website. Um, So this is kind of what I was explaining. The general public member is at the bottom, no login required. A MyLO user, they have just only created themselves or somebody has created them a MyLO user account. So they can log in if they go and let's say try and go to Mike's MyLO site and they try and click on the members link in the menu, they will be able to click on it, but it won't show anything. They'll just only be able to see the header information and that's it. They get no members only access. And then the next level, after a user has a MyLO account, then they can be added to a specific group, which is a MyLO website. So once they become a member of a MyLO group, then that's when they get that members only access. And if they are belonging to Mike's group, the Berrien and Cass Counties MyLO group, they won't have access to Deborah's Perrysburg area members only. They would have to be added specifically to each league to have members only access to those leagues. And then after those steps, if one of those members in your group, you want to assign them to be a webmaster, then it's just a check added. So those are the steps required to get to any of these levels. If you want to get to the webmaster, we do have to create a MyLO account for them. Then we have to add them to that group. Then within that group, we assign them the webmaster role. Um, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to drop this in the chat in case anybody wanted to check that out any further. But this is what I was talking about, like the reference of member in the context of MyLO is just about when you're allowed to access private content. So let me go over to, oh, I do have my site open here. Okay, so we come over to our home page and we want to manage members. And so the next step depends on, is the user completely brand new, or do they possibly already have a MyLO user account? Like, did they create it themselves? Because that's an option. Or are they already a member of your group? And all you have to do is apply that role of administrator member, aka webmaster. So let's go through all three. The first will be that they're completely brand new. So I'm going to add a member. That's at the bottom of our manage members list. We're going to skip past the first options that are here, and we're just going to go straight to add, or sorry, not add user. Skip all that because we cannot find the user. We're going to create new user. This is if you absolutely know that they do not exist in the system. If you're unsure, and this is what I usually recommend to folks, it doesn't hurt to check first. So the most reliable piece of data to use is the email address. So you can only enter username or email address. I usually go with email because in this case, if somebody created their own account, you may not know their username. So I start typing in the email address and I see, okay, there are some users that already exist. If that is the case, then you can select them from the list. So let me do
So
that
let me,
again.
let me stop you there
Yeah.
because so the clarification, because we have something list, you're talking about the username that's already entered into the MyLO system as a user,
Correct.
not necessarily somebody in the portal that the League of Women Voters have or any
Right.
other system.
Right.
And now that you're here, why don't we play something better? I know a lot of us are moving to generic emails.
Mhm.
So let's say you want to just create a generic webmaster email. Could you do that here also to give them access?
You
In other words,
can't.
for me, I've got one called the League of Women Voters webmaster at gmail.com that I now switch all my League of Women Voters work to for security reasons.
Yeah.
But I still have access to all the stuff in MyLO under my own personal John Schnabel. So
Got
I
it.
think what we can do here is create the generic ones, like for president and treasurer, or for everyone in your league. So when you have officers turnover or positions, you just have to turn over that password to that ID and not have to disassociate your own personal emails from everybody else in the league. Do I make myself clear?
You are
I'm kind of
making,
talking
yes.
around it.
No, no, no. You are making total sense. That it wouldn't be done here, but you definitely can do that just by editing your account.
Oh,
Um,
okay. So I don't
but
have to re-enter me all over again.
right. But I do
Okay.
like this this line of, this subject because turnover happens and we do have something that is kind of relatively new in your user account. If um, you need to turn over your account to the next person coming in, that there's that option. You can always do that, like you said, Mike, swapping out an email and essentially they just continue to use what was your account. But then we also have the option to transfer the content and the media that's under your account to whichever user that's coming in anew or whoever
Well,
is
let's
taking
play
over.
devil's advocate before we go too far, because as this came up in the news, uh, we had a new treasurer take over for a village. Uh, but the old treasurer going out was the relationship was acrimonious, and she refused to turn over her ID and
Oh,
password to the new person. So I guess and as you know, there's health issues and stuff that can happen.
mhm,
If we can create a generic one in here, and let's say, for instance, for me, if I have a stroke or something, I can't do it,
mhm.
the president could send you an email saying, could you reset the password for the webmaster for the League of Women Voters BCC so that I can get it because John or Mike can't do it anymore?
Right.
Is that something that you could do to help
Yes.
us out in emergencies?
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, we
Okay.
will always help out. We just want a little bit of, a little bit of explanation or, letting us know who they are in your league.
Yep.
But yeah, we had that happen not too long ago. I can't remember the league, but they were having issues with the webmaster not allowing them access. So, I'm not going to hold that um back from whoever is coming and requesting. And depending on how you want to do it, again, it could be like how you said, resetting that password and just allowing them to go in with the original account. Or if they want to kind of start with their own account or keep things separate, then we can transfer all that content and media so that
Okay.
if a previous account has to be deleted or that's what you're looking to do, then transferring the content and the media away from that account before deleting it will ensure that there's not anything lost.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, I mean it's my wife reminds me on almost on a daily basis of my mortality and where do I put things. So I all right, I'll be quiet while you show us. Thank
No,
you.
no, no, you're all good, but it's unfortunately something that we should be thinking about. I mean, unfortunately, but not unfortunate because it is the reality of things. All right. So, um, if we start out with this step, then it doesn't hurt to always check first if they may have created the account. So always check for that email. If it is somebody that you find, when you click on them, their username will get filled in there. And you can only add one person at a time. So then I would proceed to add users. But let's pretend this is somebody that doesn't exist in the system and I do want to create them brand new. That's going to open a brand new tab. That'll make it easier for us to jump back to the one before. So let's just fill this in with a fake email because I don't know which one is actually available. And we have to make sure the passwords match. I always use change at symbol me exclamation point. I probably should change it up. Um, but that is usually to help indicate to the person receiving the account you probably want to update this. And then we typically want to start them out active, but you can choose to have their status be blocked and they just won't be able to access any of the perks, so like the members only content. If we check to notify user of new account, it's a very generic email. It will let them know of their username. I don't think it will share their password because it'll just have a link. It'll say, use this link to log in, and I think that link lasts for maybe 24 hours. So I always let webmasters know to use this cautiously. It is definitely super helpful, but if the person doesn't know to expect the email, it may not make much sense to them. And then as far as we've filled out, that's the bare minimum. At the very least, they need a username, email, and password. You can, add user profile information, like address and first and last name. When it comes to the list of members, the name will show up. So I'm just adding some filler text. But yeah, so what shows up in that list will be the first and last name and their email. Time zone isn't required, but it is a little annoying if you don't select it. The system will constantly remind you, hey, the time zone setting is not set. I always narrow it down with America because it is a complete worldwide list. All right, and then we just create new account. So it resets the page or reloads the page here with this success bar, letting us know that it was created. And since I didn't check the box, no email was sent. So now we come back over here to the Add a Group Member tab. When we come back, we can either click Reload the page or just reload it yourself at the top. But reloading the page allows the system to now include that new user. So I think I have it copied. Oh, I'm glad that we are covering this because this is one issue that a user was having, and I was having such a hard time trying to figure out what the problem was. So they were doing this, trying to search for a person they knew existed in the MyLO system, but they were having such a hard time finding them. And I thought that she was typing it in. Come to find out after a few emails, she was pasting it in. And that's what I just did. So I pasted it in. We just went through this process. We know this user exists in the system. Why aren't they coming up? It is because I've entered it in completely. The moment I remove one letter, then it will show up. So if you're working with pasting text in specifically for this search, be weary of that only because it will seem as if what you know is there is not there. And now I think it's coming up because we already did the deletion. But yeah, if you for sure know that the person is in there and you're pasting it in, try removing a character or a couple of characters to give the system a chance to actually search it up. So now we found the right user, and as we did before, we select them from the list and then add user. And then, sorry, we didn't finish the last step because we want to make them a webmaster. Right now, we've gotten them into the group and they're a member of our MyLO group. But that final step, we find them in the list of managed members. When we hit edit, we have the role here that we can check the box for administrator member. And then just make sure to update their membership. And then, yeah, and then once they have their login credentials, they will see what you see as a webmaster.